This is gonna be a whole vlog day in itself, you know that?
Man, and we had it quoted to be done in 5 phases and days. I think there's a chance we'll be able to get it done in 4, but we're gonna just account for 5 to be on the safe side. And then we will make a phase plan for you, like a color-coded phase plan. We just don't typically, like I used to make the phase plans when I submitted proposals, and then I realized that I was spending a lot of time making phase plans for jobs that we either didn't get approved or they weren't gonna get approved for a while. So now it's just once we get the PO, then we make the phase plan for you, make sure it works, and then that's what we go through with implementing and playing out. And the last thing I need is someone to accidentally hit delete all, and there goes everything.
I don't blame you.
Hundreds and hundreds of hours put in to trying to make your life easier.
I think locking it was a phenomenal idea.
It makes it a little bit of a headache for you guys to share it, but it still works. You know what would be a massive headache is having to do it the way we used to, where you had to literally type out every line item, seal coding, gallons needed, and then do the calculator. Days of overhead, write in how many days and how much that is, and then add it all up manually and hope you don't fat finger a number and completely mess up the entire pricing, because that's happened many times. A lot of people are all about, oh, I want to prove my haters wrong, or I want to do this. And it's like, what about the people who don't have all these like outspoken haters against you? You know, because there's some people who they just don't. Whether it's the people that people don't actually hate them, they actually are surrounded by people who believe in them, or people who are too afraid to say something to them. Like, I'm not somebody who has all these haters to prove wrong, so it's like, where's the motivation? Because I've also tapped into the fact of proving the believers right. Because if the people say, yeah, Daniel, we believe in you, we trust you can do it, you know, you got it. Well, now I owe it to them to like make that happen. Because if I don't, then I let them down. I would rather not let a believer down than I would to prove a hater or doubter right. That's more impactful to me.
I have the motivation of haters or doubters and all that stuff. But like, you find your motivation, you find your why in another way. Like, what is Daniel's why? And why is it your why? You know, would you say that's the foundation for your discipline?
I think it can be foundational for that, because well, like we've talked about, motivation will only take you so far, but your why is going to pull you through the hard times. Motivation will get you started. Motivation will get the ball rolling and push you in the right direction. But that why, that reason, that's something that's bigger than just, you know, just because I want to, or something surface level like that. Your bigger why, I think, is probably what has a lot to do with your discipline to continue pushing through when it's not fun, when it's hard. You know, like, if I'm being honest right now, I'm in a spot where this shit is not fun to me. Like, I literally told Kelsey last night before we left the office, I'm like, this is just not fun. And I go through those ups and downs, but the discipline of continuing to show up, continuing to put in the work. Like, after I told her that, I still put in another hour or so at the office to get the shit done. You know, I still showed up this morning and just did what I did. Like, the discipline of the routine keeps you glued to the discipline of the reason, right?
That's great.
Like, that's why I'm so routinistic, because it's what pulls me through the times where I don't feel like doing it. It becomes habitual. And yeah, there's times I go to the gym to check the box. There's times I read the 10 pages in the morning to check the box. I do my devotional to check the box. But on those days where I'm checking the box, I'm getting a compound interest, like return on the investment of checking the box. Because that's like, then the next day when I'm out of that slump or whatever it might be, it has more meaning behind why I'm doing what I'm doing. So it's where it's like all the athletes, man, like when they're training and they're playing whatever, like, not every game's going to be a superstar game. Not every game's going to be an MVP worthy game, but you still show up and you still do the reps. You know, not every meeting we go to is going to be a home run. That's okay. You know, the one we're at right now, like, it'd be a easy little job for the guys to knock out today. Great. One we go to later might be a whale of an opportunity, but you still have to show up and you still have to do it. So
it's going to become more taxing, or is it just going to be you're already giving it, and these conversations, these relationships, all you've got, so it's just going to maintain in that sense of giving it all you've got? Or do you think it's going to be as your name grows, as people know who Daniel Wright is, who Proline is, that it's going to drain you that much more? Like, do you have more to give? Or are you just giving it all? And does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes and yes. Right? So it's like, I'm giving it all I've got right now. Like where I'm at right now. Now, a couple weeks back when we went up to Pittsburgh for the meetup, when we were up there and I was teaching a workshop 4 times, that was more exhausting than I have ever been exhausted at going to an event and attending it as a interactor or as someone who's, you know, just having the conversations. And so when I was talking with some of the other guys who were leading it or people who have led it, they're like, it's pretty tiring, isn't it? So to answer your question, the more that, you know, we are growing as a company, I'm growing as an individual, the more that we're growing and the more that is it going to be required and expected of us, yes, the more exhausting it becomes, but the more we do it, the more conditioned we are. That's how it is. You know, guys like Ed Milet or Andy or Tony Robbins or all these people who are on the speaking circuit, yeah, when they first started doing it, it was exhausting. Now it's still tiring, but they're more conditioned to endure it. So that's just where it'll go to. I mean, hell, my grandparents have told me that too. They're like, because I was asking them, like, how do you go work all day and then go to dinner at night and stay awake till like 11 o'clock talking? Like, you just get conditioned to it. Wow. Amanda even said before I left, when Kelsey brought the notepad in there, I was like, hey, these are Daniel's notes from his thing. Can you do this? And Amanda's like, good luck. I'm like, what the hell is that supposed to mean? That's what she was saying. She's like, you should have been a doctor. So we're out here at a property requested by a repeat client of ours for a seal and stripe. This parking lot has got a lot of age on it, a lot of wear and tear, but the client, they're selling it, and so they have a new person purchasing it, buying it, moving in here in a couple of months, and part of the contract is getting it sealed and striped before they move in. So we're looking to do an assessment on what we can best offer them to make sure that happens. So what Ben's doing behind me over here, we use our iPad to map out the whole parking lot, so that way we get GPS measurements on our square footage and aerial views and things like that. And what he's doing now is taking photos of what the parking lot looks like today. So that way when we put those photos in the proposal and on the aerial view we create, they're time stamped. So that way when the crew comes out in a couple of months to do this, at least they can say, hey, these pictures were taken back in January or whatever it is. So that's really what we're doing here. This is a pretty small one. It's only about 10,000 square feet. So this will be an easy in and out in one day. We made sure with the client that we could do it during weekdays, so that way there wasn't any weekend fees or things like that that sometimes incur for after hours mobilizations. So it'll be a pretty easy one.
And this something to give them a complete picture of what they're going to be rolling into when they come to the job site.
Okay. Yeah, for a lot like this, yeah, you're right on track. I would probably try to get 4 pictures at a minimum, just from like different angles. So that way, since you've got shade in some areas, like you said, you hit the nail on the head, like zoom in on the bad areas, maybe where there's like moss and stuff up there where there might be heavier cleaning, things like that. Otherwise, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. And for a lot that's super faded like this, if you can get photos of the, we'll see you, Michelle. Thank you. If you can get photos of like a little bit of the striping, so that way it can at least give them an idea if they need to reference that of what did it look like, because this will be one that potentially when they cover it with sealer, like everything goes away. Now granted, they can zoom in on the map view, but it's sometimes it's hard. So yeah, small lot like this, 4 to 6 pictures, highlighting the areas that are bad and things like that would be, yeah. We've got a newbie in the wild, all right? He's deep into the bush. And he's trying to take pictures of the bush, apparently. Not sure what he's doing over here, but it looks productive. So when in doubt, look busy. Cool. That'll work. And that's the thing, it's finding that balance that you don't want to have too many, because a person's going to look at them like, why the hell do they send me 50 pictures of a freaking 10,000 square foot parking lot? You remember my island analogy yesterday?
I do remember your island analogy.
Okay, so...
Why don't you elaborate the island analogy, or elaborate for the camera?
For the camera. Do it for the gram, bro.
Do it for the...
So, for the camera, my island analogy is a business is kind of like the Bahamas or like the Caribbean islands. You have this one major area that's all in common. You're in the Bahamas, you're in the Caribbean, whatever it is. But you have different islands that make up that area. And so in our business, for our sake, we have an administrative island. We have a sales island. We have an operations island. We have a media and marketing island, things like that. Well, at the end of the day, all those islands have to work together to make that whole general area work. So the sales island has to produce and export enough to the operations island to give them imports to survive and to do work and to have things, to keep them going. Same thing with admin and marketing. So they all have to work together. But to my point, what I was trying to make to you is up until now, the office and admin and stuff like that, like our island has consisted of kind of periodic people popping in, hey, we're here for a week or so, maybe not, just people, almost like people on vacation trying to make up an island. And it works, like it brings enough, like, if we're using the island analogy, imports and exports, tourist revenue to survive, but it doesn't make it thrive, doesn't make it flourish and be on its own. So to your point of if we're trying to build that camaraderie and things like that in the office or sales or whatever our departments are, now that we're starting to build and add more people to it that are full-time, that are here every day, putting in the work, the sweat, the tears, it's going to provide more of an opportunity to build that camaraderie. But that's where it's hard, and truthfully, I struggle with it sometimes because I have always been like the guy. I've always been the guy with all the answers when it comes to the sales stuff. Not saying that other people can't do it, right? Brandon has sold jobs perfectly fine that I know nothing about. Amanda has done it. Heck, JJ's done it. We just got an approval the other day for an Amazon that he kind of went out with Amanda's help and did that. But from the office and sales side of it, with having Kelsey in the office more like consistently every day to provide that stability, to have you on the team now as somebody who's in here every day to help provide consistency and stability, and to also have me out of having to always press the buttons and do the things, it provides that opportunity for me to help kind of lead that island. And as you recall from our meeting yesterday, like that was kind of my word from the TCS retreat, was like lead and leadership, and like that's what I have to focus on, because I've always been a doer of things, and as a byproduct been a leader of people, because I have to lead the people to help me do the things. Now it's getting to a point where I don't technically have to do the things, but I have to lead the people. And so I think that as we continue pushing into this, there's going to be things where maybe I do encourage that the ops guys go do an off-site day where the ops guys can go just have fun, break bread, do whatever they would want to do. And then maybe we take the sales stuff. I know we talked about going snowboarding or something. You, me, and Brandon, the sales team, that's something we have in common. So let's go do that for a day. I guess we can invite Randy if he wants to, but yeah, he can come film it for us. Film us tumbling down a hill. But it's like we're going to start doing these things just like other companies do, right? When you were on the patrol, you had, and forgive me, I don't know the terminology, but your group, your squad, your whatever it was, you guys probably went and did things together, just like a fire department, the station or the shift goes and does things together. We're just now entering into that time where we can start doing those things. Having what do we have, 25 people at our house for our Christmas party last year? Like that's the most people we've ever had in our house at one time. But it's like we're just now starting to just open up those doors and those opportunities.
And just to add to that, like I think like maybe the ski trip or the baseball game or whatever it is, like that's a byproduct of how tight you guys got when you were sweating on the asphalt, or when you were trying to push through to make your quotas or whatever to hit a certain number with sales, or you staying up till 2 a.m. with maybe Kelsey, pushing paperwork out, working towards the franchising and finishing that up. I feel like that's kind of like, okay, now we enjoy the friendship we built back then.
Exactly. And it shifts. Like the relationship foundation shifts a little bit, because trying to build those relationships and that like solid like connection that you did when you had it built through the blood, sweat, and tears of doing the things, to now trying to build that type of a relationship between people just spending time together, or activities, or just kind of working with each other more fluidly. It's just a different way to do it. So yeah. Noble smoke. Noble smoke.
I give it a 7.6. 7.6. Service was phenomenal though. I'll say very. Nicole was awesome. Yes. Ever since I've come to the South, my palate's been refined, and especially when it's concerning barbecue. So I think it's phenomenal. Very good place, but it didn't. I'm not going to travel here. Like a 7, for me, like a 7.6 is like if I'm in the area, I'll make it a point to go there. But it's
Average.
Yeah, I would.
Not good, not bad.
No, I would say it's above average.
Above average.
Above average, yeah. If it was like not good, not bad, we're probably in the 6 range. In the 5s, you're about to get a 1-star review on Yelp. Like you really suck. Your service was awful.
Just a straightforward seal coat and restripe, no repairs noted. And we'll check it, and if there's crack sealing that needs to be done, then we'll give an estimate for crack sealing, give them that option. But yeah, you have that's the detail. So somebody came out here and did their own assessment, more or less. And I have no idea who the person is that would have come out and taken all these pictures, but we'll make our own map, our own photos, everything like that. What? Well, that happens sometimes because we don't go and put back the exact same arrow that was there before. So that's why there's been something that we discussed about as far as stenciling goes. Like, does it make sense if we were to, like, if we know that we're not putting something back exactly like line for line, should we just go ahead and black out what's there to provide another layer? Because that's what you just saw right there is called like shadowing, where like the old stuff is coming through as like a shadow, and you can see it and it contrasts with the new thing. So it's something you want to make sure that you try to avoid, but at the same time it's also unavoidable because the stuff just wears off. So it hasn't been necessarily defined as a SOP or SOG to do it that way, but it's something we've talked about, like how can we give a better product than what other people are doing without breaking the bank for it. So, but nonetheless, what we'll do here, and you can do it if you golly, turn around, that thing looks like it's gonna poke my eye out. You can do it in the car if you want and like make the map, and then you get out, walk around, take your pictures, and then you're good to go. And what kind of surface would you consider this?
Run your hand across it. I'd say it's a smooth surface.
Like a baby's butt.
That's right.
Typically too, if it's been previously seal coated, you can almost automatically consider it smooth because it's not going to absorb as much sealer from like the usage standpoint as if it was not sealed or things like that. He said on this side over here, he said there's like holes or something right by the entrance. So I don't know if it's just because it's chewed away or what, but
JJ's lingo.
I don't know JJ's lingo.
Gas bag.
Gas bag! Freaking gas bag! Come on! He just screams everything.
Build relationships, always learning, and take ownership. That's it.